Okay, hi, I'm Jamie, and this is my May book haul. I don't have that many this month, only 12, so I'll just get started. So one of the first books I picked up this month was Love, Fortunes, and Other Disasters by Kimberly Karalius. So this one is set in a town that revolves around love. Like, that's everybody's sort of goal, is to just find their true love, to find love. And they actually go about it in a kind of weird way, where they have all these sort of love shops that sell charms and give out fortunes, and it sort of becomes a tradition for all high school students to get their fortune for the year at the beginning of each school year. And most of them are like, oh, well, you'll meet love but you'll lose it, or blah blah blah. Most of them are pretty bland. But the main character, Fallon, receives a pretty dire love fortune, saying that her love will never be requited. And so she joins this rebellion against Zita, who's the one giving out these fortunes. Being that it's centered around love and its only real goal is for these characters to find love, it really wasn't my cup of tea. But you never know, maybe you're into that kind of stuff. So the next book I picked up was Jeremy Scott's The Ables, and he actually has a YouTube channel. He does Cinema Sin, which, I mean, everybody likes his videos, and so he wrote a book, and I really liked it. It's about these kids who find out they have superpowers, and they're going into, I think it's middle school. I don't think they're that old. I think they're like 15, 16. But anyway, they're going into school, they're being enrolled into a superhero high school, and they find out that they're living in a superhero town, and that the world has superheroes, they're just hidden. And the main character, Philip, he's super excited that he finds out he has a superpower, but then in his high school he gets put into the disabled class because he's blind. Did I mention that? Probably not, but he is. And he sort of forms this band of misfits with all the other disabled kids, and it's just a really fun, really sort of quirky novel. Plus, I mean, look at the cover. I was looking at all my books on my shelves and trying to figure out which ones were originally self-published, and I found that a lot of the ones I really liked were self-published, so I wanted to read more self-published. So I picked up the first two books in two different series. First one being the Raven Shadow Trilogy by Anthony Ryan, the first one being Bloodsong, the second one being Tower Lord. I have read Bloodsong, I have not read Tower Lord, but I'm going to read it soon. These ones have been compared to The Name of the Wind by Patrick Ruffus, or Ruff... Oh, I've made a mistake! Patrick... But I haven't read those, so I can't help on that front. What it did seem like to me is in Game of Thrones, the sections where Jon is at the wall studying to be a night watchman. So this one is about Valen as he grows up in the Sixth Order, learning to fight, learning to defend himself, becoming an incredibly famous warrior. And as he grows up, he sort of transforms into this really noble man. And he starts to question the order that he's grown up fighting for, question the faith that he originally thought was finite. It's just really cool. I really liked it. It's high fantasy. It's awesome. I should mention that these ones, the Raven Shadow Trilogy, whatever, was picked up by a publishing company, but it was originally self-published. I checked. And so the second self-published ones that I picked up, which are still only self-published, that haven't been picked up, but it's this Psycho Save Us trilogy series, I don't know, by Chad Huskins, the first one being Psycho Save Us, with the second one being Psycho Within Us. I haven't read these ones yet. I love their format, so, I mean, if that's something that interests you. But these ones sound really interesting because they're about two sisters, Kaylee and Shannon. Yes, Kaylee and Shannon, who are not normal. They are telepaths, so they can talk to each other in their mind, they can talk to other people in their mind, as I'm assuming it's following the standard definition of telepathy. I don't know. One fateful night they sort of get abducted and sold into sex slavery, so obviously not suitable for younger audiences, but their only hope of being saved then turns out to be a psychopath who they encountered earlier that night. And the sort of relationship that it sounds like they're going to end up having sounds... like, that just sounds like a really crazy, weird, awesome friendship. So I'm really excited to read these ones. So I'm going to preface this by saying I'm totally one of those people who doesn't have favorites. Like, you ask me what my favorite book is or my favorite song is, and I'm like, how can I choose? Like, it depends on what the last thing I read or listened to is. Because that's obvious. I'm pretty sure these are now my favorite books ever. And so these ones would be Under Different Stars and Sea of Stars by Amy A. Bartol. First one being Under Different Stars. These ones are about Kricket Hollowell. And she's sort of been living... no, I wouldn't even say living. She's been sort of surviving on Earth rather poorly. She grew up in foster care. She's had a lot of really crappy foster parents. She's been homeless for a while. And she's finally found like a comfortable place. She lives with her best friend. She has a job where she gets paid under the table. Things are starting to look up for her. That is until two groups of mercenaries try to kidnap her for unknown reasons, which I'm about to tell you what they are, so they won't be unknown. You find out within like the first 30 pages. Calm down. But it turns out that Kricket, really, she's not human. She's not supposed to be on Earth. She comes from a different planet named Ethar, and the two groups of mercenaries want her for very different reasons. But she ends up getting hauled back to her home planet to face judgment for something that she has no idea that she even did. And it's just a really good science fiction novel. So my camera will record 10-minute videos at a time. I talked about these ones for like 2 minutes, and then I started talking about these ones, and it turned off saying that I had talked for 10 minutes, and it felt like I only talked for like 30 seconds. So I'm gonna stop. The Paper Towns trailer came out this month, or last month, I don't know. I saw it this month, and I figured I hadn't read Paper Towns, so I picked up Paper Towns, and I read Paper Towns. And now I'm done with Paper Towns. And I want to see how many more times I can say Paper Towns. But his name is Quentin, and he falls in love with Margot Roth Spiegelman, which is now engraved in my brain because he says it all the time. And she goes missing after a really wild night. So it's about him trying to find her and all that stuff, and everybody really likes this one, and I really liked it, so yeah, it's a good summer read. I don't know. I don't think I really need to explain Paper Towns. I think it's pretty common knowledge. And then I picked up Mad Miss Mimic by Sarah Henstra. This is a historical semi-fantasy. The main character of this one was really interesting. Her name is Leonora, Leo for short, and she has a stutter. But sometimes she doesn't have a stutter, and it's when she's perfectly mimicking voices that she's heard, so she can mimic her sister, her aunt. It's really cool how Mimic, as they call her, manifests herself. Leo doesn't really have control over when Mimic rears her ugly ass head, and it's just really fun. Oh, with the added bonus of opium in the Victorian period. And then I picked up one that pretty much everybody knows already, Red Rising by Pierce Brown. So I listened to the audiobook for this one because the audiobook is fantastic, and it's narrated by an Irishman, and he does all these awesome Irish accents. So I was like, let's just listen to the audiobook because that's awesome. It's about Darrow, who he lives on Mars. He is a hell diver, so he mines helium, and over this weird course of events becomes the face of a revolution. Because their society is sort of color-coded with golds on the tops and low reds on the bottom. And of course he's a low red, and they're tired of being enslaved, and a lot of them don't even know that they're enslaved. And it's just really weird plot. It's really quite amazing and intricate in the way it sort of all comes together. But it was really good novel, really amazing world building in this one as well. It's really interesting, and it was good. I liked it. And so this last book I picked up on a whim because it was on sale. It's The Devil's Detective by Simon Kurt. Kind of interesting plot. It's about a detective who operates in hell. Because apparently Lucy cares what happens to all the damn souls. I don't know. I'm going to post a May wrap-up where I give a more in-depth summary of my favorite books. So keep an eye out for that, and thanks for watching. Okay, bye.